To prepare the TLC developing jar, you'll simply want to take a piece of filter paper, put it in the jar, and add solvent to the level of about 8 millimeters. Tilt the jar to wet the filter paper, and then cap it. We want the atmosphere within the jar to be saturated in solvent vapor. I have a sample that I want to spot on my TLC plate. I have extracted some paprika. I first will mark an origin on my TLC plate. On the left and right hand sides of the TLC plate with a pencil, I make a little mark on the plate and I will spot across the line for that TLC plate. To obtain a spotter, I simply invert the micro pipette, which has a small hole in the top, and get out a glass capillary. Pull some sample up into the pipette, and then very quickly dab a spot on the TLC plate. I want a very small spot, and if I need the spot to be more concentrated, I wait for the solvent to evaporate and quickly dab again. I'm going to make one spot very concentrated. 1 to 3 dabs usually is enough to spot sample on the plate. So I'll do 3 on one side and just 1 on the other. To add the TLC plate to the developing jar, I want to use the tweezers to very carefully lower into the jar. I want to make sure that the spots are above the height of the solvent in the bottom of the jar, and I want to make sure that the TLC plate is not touching the filter paper. And then once I have the plate in the jar, I try not to disturb the jar and I watch the solvent climb up the plate. I will wait until the solvent is approximately 5 to 10 millimeters from the top of the TLC plate, at which point I will remove the plate from the jar and mark the solvent front. Approximately 5 minutes have passed, and it looks like my solvent front is near the top of the plate, so I will remove it from the jar. Before the solvent line has a chance to evaporate, I mark it clearly with a pencil. And I'm going to recap my jar in case I need to do another TLC in a few minutes. The solvent line evaporates quickly. For paprika, the spots are visual spots, and I can simply circle those, what I see, with a pencil. There's some yellow spots up top, and certainly some darker spots underneath. But this silica plate also has a fluorescent indicator. And I can use a UV lamp to help visualize the spots. This works really well in a dark place. But it certainly helps visualize some of the trailing of the spots that were difficult to see with the naked eye. Many organic compounds are colorless and thus need to be visualized by either a UV lamp or some staining.